Welcome to the Money Mindful podcast, where money mindset and life coach Meaghan Jean Smith, hey, that's me, teaches you how to transform your relationship to money and achieve your life goals so you can live a glorious, magnificent, delicious, awesome life and love being you. Well, hello, dear listener, and welcome to another episode of the Money Mindful podcast. I'm your host, Meaghan Jean Smith, and I'm thrilled to be with you here today and bring this episode to you, which is actually a recording of an episode, a podcast episode that was released last year in Sweden on the Life Coach Podden with Anna Wollner podcast. But unless you speak Swedish, you probably didn't hear it because it is a podcast that is released by my best friend in Sweden, and it is all in Swedish, except for the odd episode where she has English-speaking guests like myself on. So today I will be sharing that episode with you. So some common obstacles and themes that come up with my clients around reaching your money and life goals is often to do with what won't work out or lack of capabilities, such as, oh, I couldn't do that, who am I to do that, or I'm not good enough to do that, or such and such might think this about me, or this person won't be happy, or I'd be so embarrassed if this failed. It's all the things that are focused on the negative of creating a goal. So the side of the equation if the goal didn't work out. And the episode that I'm sharing with you today is all about when your goals work out better than you could possibly imagine. And on this show, I share a journey that I went through where I was pursuing a goal to become a life coach, and it was a big, scary, hairy goal that I, had so much doubt around, and I really had to draw on my courage to move through the goal, if you will, to create it and take action towards it. But what happened as a glorious byproduct of pursuing that goal is an unexpected friendship that has developed over these last 3+ years. And so this podcast is not only going to address the magic and the beauty of going for your goals and all the wonderful things that can happen. So instead of imagining all the what can go wrong with your goals, this is about imagine what can go right. And what if pursuing your money and life goals turned out better than you can possibly imagine, right? What a beautiful thing. And then also in this episode, you're going to get to know me a little bit more because I'm on the other side of the mic. I'm being interviewed by my best friend, Anna Wollner, and I'm sharing insights into who I am personally and a beautiful story that unfolds in the development of our friendship. So without further ado, I'm going to turn you over to the podcast episode that the recording of the podcast episode that aired last year on the Life Coach Podden with Anna Wollner. And if you are Swedish or happen to speak Swedish, you must go and check out that podcast. I'm going to put a link in the show notes because I don't listen to the podcast because it's in Swedish, but I listen to the person who creates it every single day, and I know that you will be in good hands by going and checking it out. All right, here's the episode.
Hello, my bestie. How are you doing down under?
Hello, Anna. Woo! We're doing a podcast.
We are doing a podcast, finally. Oh, we've been talking about it for such a long time, haven't we?
And here we are.
Finally. So, I did an introduction of you in Swedish, or as you like to call it, Swedish, right? I think it's so cute. There is a story behind that, but maybe we'll tell that later. But can you please introduce yourself? Because, it's always different when someone else introduces you.
Okay, well, hello everybody. My name's Meaghan Jean Smith. I'm from Sydney, Australia. And the first thing I want to say, even before I tell you what I do or why I'm here, is just thank you for listening to me in English. I know that this show is usually in Swedish. So I'm just going to say my children who know Anna know that she's from Sweden, and they talk about how in Sweden you speak Swedish. So that kind of just always stuck with us. And I know Anna, we always found that so adorable. And so now that's our running joke. So I just want to say thank you for being here and letting me in your ears when I don't know Swedish, and I really appreciate that. So I am a life coach just like Anna, and I'm a money mindset and life coach for women in Australia here. And I also have a podcast, the Money Mindset podcast, and I'm here because Anna, your brilliant host of this podcast, is my dear, dear best friend. And we wanted to talk about our friendship, an unexpected friendship, right?
Very.
In our 40s, which has had the most incredible impact on my life, in my business and in my personal life. And so I'm here to talk about that and share that with your beautiful audience.
Yeah, and I am so happy. And we can tell people as well that we will also do a follow-up podcast with you, like in your profession, because so many things as a money mindset coach. So I, of course, want to share all of that with my audience as well. But that will be coming after, I don't know, maybe March.
If they'll have me. If they'll have me, Anna.
Yes, we'll see. We'll see. But no, that's our plan. But in the meantime, you can, of course, go and listen to me again on her podcast, on the Money Mindful podcast. And it's so good. It will change your life. I guarantee it. But let's talk about us. Okay. So do you remember how it started? I don't know if we have the same picture of how it started, but tell your story.
Okay, so a few years ago, I took a massive leap in my life and I signed up to do coach certification training with the Life Coach School, which at the time felt like it was $1 bazillion. And I was just going all out, taking a huge leap to up level in my life and change direction and change careers. And I remember receiving an email from the coach instructor letting us know who was in our group. And I immediately went and stalked everybody on social media and looked everybody up. And of course, I couldn't find everybody, but one of the participants who I could find was someone called Anna Walner. And I found you on Instagram and I was like, wow, she looks really cool. Where is she from? It looks like she's in Europe somewhere. And I think I don't know if I friended you or maybe I just sent you a message to just say, hi, I'm Meaghan and I'm going to be in your coach certification group. That's my memory of it. Is that what you? As far as I remember, you sent me an email. Oh.
Yeah, because I think, when our coach instructor, her name was Lisa, when she sent out that email, we had all of the other emails on top, didn't we? I think so. But anyhow, what we knew was that we would be needing a peer to coach with during our coach certification. And as far as I remember, you wrote me like the day after we received that email, like, hey, do you want to pair up? And we had no idea who was in the group. We had no idea about like personalities or anything. And I was like, heck yeah. If someone emails me and asks me if I want to pair up for 6 months and coach with them within a certification program, yes, absolutely. So that's my memory. I was also terrified at the moment, I want to say, when I signed up for coach certification. I was like, oh, goodness, what have I done?
That's so funny because now that you say your side of the story, the picture has been painted. The truth is out that I'm a weirdo stalker because I'm pretty sure that I found you on Instagram. And obviously I was checking out your Instagram because I remember that you were in Spain.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah, because when we started, I was in the Canary Islands. Yeah, that's true. And I was probably very easy to find because at that time, I ran an Instagram account focused on sparkling wine. And I had written a blog about sparkling wine for, I think, 12 years and had a website. So I was probably very easy to find.
Yeah. Well, I was instantly attracted to you. Probably, I mean, for a variety of reasons. One, you were from Europe, and I just feel an affinity with that place. But also, I have a Danish friend that, I knew for a long time, and I sort of had a real soft spot for this side of the world. I mean, I realize Denmark is a different country to Sweden, but, the Northern European countries, I just kind of had a soft spot, right? And then you were because most of the people in the coaching group that we were with were American.
Yeah.
And I was the only Aussie in the group. And then you were the only European, right? Because I think one of the other ladies, French speaking, she was in Canada. So
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
So I felt like we were the outsiders of the group joining forces.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. But it's so fun, though, because when we talk about it, it's like from that moment when you emailed me, of course, we didn't start speaking every day at that point. But I mean, during the certification, those 6 months, we did talk a lot. But then we found this amazing app because we do have an issue since we have a big time difference. I mean, now when we recorded, we started 6 o'clock in the morning European time, and then it's 4 o'clock for you, right?
Yeah, it's the end of my workday.
Yeah, and you are about to like wind down and pick up the girls from school and all of the things. Yeah. So there is challenge with the time difference. But we found this amazing app called Marco Polo where you can send each other video messages. And it's so good. Now it sounds like I'm making an effort to sell that to you, but it's actually free. So, but anyhow, that has been like our thing with the video messages. And when we started that, then we definitely started to talk every single day, I would say, didn't we? Or did we do that before? No.
Oh, I don't know, but it definitely morphed into being every day. I mean, if a day goes past where I don't get a message from you, it feels like, is she alive? What's happened?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, sometimes on the weekend, I know that we get involved in family stuff and head out. But during the week, if I haven't had a message from you, it's like, what's happening? Where's Anna?
Yeah.
Where's my person?
And it's so mutual. And I want to, because this is a completely new type of relationship for me. I've never, ever had a relationship like this before. And it's so funny because my husband, my dear husband, Andreas, he has a person apart from me, that he has been talking to every single day for I don't know how long, sometimes several times a day. And when me and Andreas got together and I got to know his best friend is called Daniel, and that they were talking like every day, I must admit that I wasn't envious on like Andreas talking to Daniel all the time, but like I was envious that I didn't have that type of person, because I realized that I'm his girlfriend and his wife, and I fill a different sort of box in his life. But I also wanted a friend like that I could talk to about everything every day, and I just didn't have one. And then when I met you, it was so obvious. I'm like, Meaghan is my person. Meaghan is my Daniel. And when I told Andreas as much, he was like, oh, excuse me, that's amazing. He's like, I know exactly what you mean, and it's so valuable. Go Meaghan. And yeah.
Yeah. And I think that this is a really good time to point out that I'm in Sydney, Australia, and you are in Sweden. We are at the complete opposite ends of the world. I mean, literally, you're on the other side of the world. And we have never met in person. We tried to once, but that's another story.
That didn't go that well.
No. And yet, you know, I don't know how many friendships that I've had in my life that have been genuine, real, close friendships with people in my close proximity who I can actually touch and spend time in the same room. But you and we've never physically stood in the same room together. And yet we have spoken to each other every day for nearly 3 years now. Yeah. And I feel like you're the closest person in my life, like when it comes to friendship, you know, outside of my partner. And it like I've never had a friendship like this before. And the fact that we're so different, I mean, we can talk about like our lives are so different. Like we will be poloing each other and I will be on the beach sweating with sunburn and sand and doing a polo going, Anna, look at this. Isn't this so beautiful here? You know, down at Bondi Beach or Coogee or whatever, showing you where I am. And when you come to Australia, I'm going to take you here. And then you'll polo me back in the evening from a snow slope, like tobogganing with your kids or something. I mean, it's just the idea that the two of us could come together and that we're like two peas in a pod. We're such a good fit for each other. It still blows my mind, and I never take it for granted. I never take you for granted, because I'm just like, out of all the people that I could possibly be friends with, I'm going to cry now, like to have you on the other side of the world, but you're so in my life. Like my kids know you. You know, you have a relationship with my family, like my partner, you know, because our partners are like walking behind, like in frame in our video conversations. And it's like, oh yeah, okay, you're going and talking to Anna. Okay. Right. You know, like, but who would have thought? I mean, I never would have imagined that our relationship, our friendship would have evolved and blossomed in this way. I mean, did you ever?
I know. No, I didn't. I mean, of course, when we started certification, you know, when you meet people and you talk to them and you have that certain connection, absolute. I think we had a super good connection from the start. We really did. But I would never have imagined in my wildest dreams that it would sort of have taken this turn. And like, if going back to the fact that we've never met, we also sometimes talk about like, how funny won't it be when we finally see each other? And we have this elaborate plan now for next year. So that will be amazing. But we are not only different when it comes to like geographically and of course mentally and all of those things. We'll come back to that. But we're also very different physically. Now people can't see us, but my people have probably seen me, but I'm pretty tall and blonde, and you are pretty short and dark. And we have sort of talked about it. We're like, okay, when we're going to stand next to each other, that is going to be so much fun.
I know, right? Like your kids will probably be the same height as your kids.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Elizabeth, she's pretty tall now. So we'll see. But what would you say? I mean, apart from the geography and the physical thing that I'm a little bit taller than you, what would you say is the biggest difference between you and I?
So this has been so interesting to me from just a life perspective, as in what you get used to, right? Like what you can tolerate and what you can handle. Because, because we talk every day, I'm so involved in your life with what you do, and I see so much of your day-to-day life. And, the thing that always blows me away is that it's so dark in Sweden in winter, and I mean, It's not like that here because, I mean, in the winter, yes, we have shorter days, but the sun still comes up at 7 a.m, right? And yes, it sets earlier, but at 5:30, 6 o'clock, right? I mean, you're never dropping your kids off at school in the dark or picking them up in the dark, right? And that to me is such a difference. But I think too, I hope this, I don't want this to sound weird, but it's the physical aspects of the two of us. I mean, sometimes you chat with me and you'll say, oh, yes, well, I've just got to drop off Elizabeth or KB or something at, some sort of class that they go scouts or, gymnastics. And you'll tell me how you haven't got the new snow tires on the car. Well, first of all, snow tires, that for me is like, that's a thing. What? Like, and then
yes, that's a thing.
And then you'll say, I need to ride my bike across town and it's snowing. And for me, that is like, wow, my best friend is like this warrior woman who is out there biking across the town in the dark, in the snow. I mean, I feel like if I came to Sweden and I lived there, I would die. Like I'm not cut out for that kind of thing, right? But then, we talk about things like when I'm swimming and I'm at the beach and I'm in the water all the time. Like, it's like a physicality, like how we're actually so different in that way in our environments. Like, our environments have produced different people who are used to different things. Like I talked to you about the heat over here and I tell you about the temperature and things like that. And it's no big deal for me, but for you, it is a big deal. Like,
I'm like, oh no.
Right. But what I find that's been so unexpected is that those differences have not in any way been a hindrance to our friendship. I mean, if anything, it's been a beautiful match, a beautiful pairing, because we are so different in so many ways.
Yeah, we are. And I think all of these differences, because we talk about them quite a lot, don't we? And it's like a curiosity and an awe about like, oh, really? Do you do that? What? No. And it comes like it's through the whole spectra. I mean, I remember just the other week, since you are now moving within Australia, people. So she's not moving here, unfortunately. But anyhow, like you were talking about the medical system, because your husband, he's a doctor, and how that whole system works. And I was like, no, okay. But it doesn't work like anything like that in Sweden. And also we've talked about the schools, how different the schools are. And you're like, yeah, okay, the girls are now getting medals and stuff for extra achievements in the schools. And I'm like, in Sweden, nobody gets a medal. We don't work like that. So there is like so many differences, and it's like we're getting deeper and deeper into the cultural differences, but it's always with this fantastic curiosity. And that's also one of the things that I think has been really, I don't know, for a better word, maybe enriching, that it's the differences. It's amazing. It's so much fun. But I mean, when also I want to bring up that our friendship, I think, of course, is special because of a lot of reasons. But one aspect is the fact that we're not only best friends, we also work professionally as coaches, which can be pretty handy. Because, I mean, not only we're coaches, but we're also normal people living normal lives. And it's so nice when I'm like down or I'm having an issue or something, and I tell you in a polo, and you can sort of friend coach me a little bit, or you can just straight up say, okay, stop it, I'm going to coach you. And then I get a whole sort of coaching slab on top of everything. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, thanks. I needed that.
That is actually, that's been amazing, because you can't just coach a friend. I mean, you can't just coach well, for starters, you can't coach anyone who don't have permission to coach.
No,
but
for sure.
When your bestie is a coach, there's a gray area around that.
Absolutely. But I think it's so good because we give fair warning. It's like, okay, I hear you, sister. Now I'm going to coach you. Take it or leave it. And then it's sort of, and it's also fascinating because we don't have that direct contact like we do now when we're talking, but there is also always a delay in the polos. So then when I've sent you a polo and sort of you wake up, then I'm in the middle of everything. And then, so there's always this delay. So then the coaching comes. But tell the story. You were about to say something.
Oh, I totally lost my train of thought. But I was thinking about, why do you think the friendship blossomed like this? Like, what are your thoughts? Why do you think that we became such good friends?
Well, I think it's a multi-layer. Absolutely. First of all, I think both you and I are extremely open, which helps, because I am open about all the aspects of my life, and so are you. And so that was, like, I would say, the base premise of sort of going deeper, because we started to share things. And then, of course, we do have our common interest. Like, we met during coach training. So we have this fascination about the change we can change things in our lives with our brains. So of course it's like, I mean, I guess it would be like any interest when you meet someone that is passionate about something, if it's like dogs or knitting or I don't know, but it's like a nerd and really like, I love this. This is so much fun. Let's talk about it. And you find someone like that. That's amazing. And also then when it comes to the friendship, not only do we discuss all the things around our businesses and the coaching and the tools and all of that, but it's also the friendship and how we apply the coaching in our own lives. And then it's just like being normal friends and normal people having a glass of wine on a Friday. So there's so many facets, I would say. So there is so many things to talk about and go deeper within. But then I must say, and I've told you a million times, that if I didn't have you by my side building this coaching business and trying to teach people and reach women and how to reach them and how to help them. If I didn't have you, this would have looked very, very different for sure. I would say one of the biggest reasons you are listening to this podcast is because of Meaghan, because when we met, you already had a podcast. So you were like, it's not that hard. Of course you should do it. And I was like, no, having so much mind drama.
Oh my gosh, how far we've both come. But do you know what struck me when you were saying that is that because we talked about how it's like this is an unexpected best friendship in our 40s, right? Because I feel like the level of friendship we have is that sort of deep friendship you have when you're a teenager, like when you're in a real seminal stage of your life and you're becoming an adult and you have that bestie that you just do everything with. And I did not expect that to blossom with a new person on the other side of the world in my 40s, right? But one of the things that struck me that I think we've talked about before is that when you really show up in alignment with what you want, right? Because for both of us, I don't know whether you've talked about this on the podcast before, but becoming a life coach and changing careers was no joke for us, right? Like it was a massive life change for both of us. We both completely changed the trajectory of our lives. And I think when you take big leaps like that and make big changes, often what can come up, like fear can come up that you're doing something different than your community and your friendships or your family, you're different to what you were. And there's fear around what you might lose, right? Like
absolutely.
Friends who aren't a coach, for instance, and don't understand it, or they don't run their own business and they don't care about, the latest launch that you're doing or, or some project management software. Like they couldn't care less about that and they don't want to talk about it with you over a glass of champagne. And so there's that loss that potentially can happen and we can get focused on that. But at the same time, I think when you really start taking steps in the direction that is aligned with your true purpose, that what we don't often think about is what we will gain.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it doesn't really matter what area it is, or if it's because you're talking about life, I can't say that word, but when you change like the path of your life and you go down another road, it doesn't need to be that drastic. If you just start to put yourself out there, say that you love knitting and you start going to knitting courses and join a knitting club or whatever, the odds are at least in your favor that you will meet someone new that you have a lot in common with. But so many of us, we are so busy living our day-to-day lives, so we don't think about what we really want. We don't really dare to change because it's scary, and it's much safer to just continue doing what you've always done and continue to hang out with the people that you've always hung out with. And I'm not saying you should stop hanging out with the people that you used to hang out with, but there could potentially be an unexpected best friend waiting in that knitting club or wherever you want to go. If you want to sail around the world, do that. And I think just sitting down and letting yourself think a little bit about what you want and letting your mind free, so to speak, and actually trying something new might result in a huge shift for you personally, but also within your friendships, I would say. Well, what would you say?
Well, yeah, I mean, I just think every time that I've done something new in my life, I've always met new people, not to the degree, but never to this deep, right? Like I've never had such a deep connection with someone that I've never even been in the same room physically with, right? Like that's a whole nother level that blows my mind.
That's weird.
It is weird. I mean, we're internet friends.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
but still, like the best of internet friends.
Oh, yeah. That's right. And we have, I just need to tell your audience, we have taken steps to see each other. We were supposed to see each other earlier this year, but planes got cancelled on us and it just obviously wasn't meant to be at that time. But next year is our year. We are going to be in the same country. I mean, for a while there was no way we were going to be able to see each other because of COVID. Like there was just travel wasn't an option. But anyway, I digress. But I just feel for me that the universe just led me to you, you know, like I was meant to meet you.
I agree.
Right? Like, yeah. And even, but I met you because I was taking steps in my life towards what I wanted to do. You know, I came across you because I signed up for coach training because that was what I wanted to do. And then, you know, we just ended up being partners, and I of course, we've been intentional. Like this friendship didn't spring out of nowhere. I mean, there's plenty of people in that group that I don't speak to every day, right? Like obviously there was a special connection with us, but I think the thing that stands out to me is that when you're on the right path, you find your people.
Yeah.
Like even if they're on the other side of the world.
Absolutely. Let's just say that again. When you're on your path that you want to be, you will meet your people.
Yes.
That's so good. But, you know, since you also have a podcast, we are now on like 30 minutes. So we don't want to go on rambling forever. So let's wrap up because I thought that was so good. When you're on your path, you will find your people. So we want that to be the final message. Apart from the fact that we also want to give people a chance to find you. Tell people all about the podcast and where to find you and your fantastic money freebies. Oh my goodness. You have such a good course. Tell them about it.
Okay. Well, if you can bear to listen to me slow talking in English and not in Swedish, come and hang out with me. Come and listen to my podcast. It's called Money Mindful. And you can just type in the search on whatever podcast platform that you listen to, Money Mindful. And if you're a social media person, come and hang out with me on Instagram. I'm always putting content out there, money mindset related stuff and how to reach your money and life goals. And my handle is Meaghan J Smith. So it's MEAGHAN J Smith. And I'm sure, do you put that sort of stuff in the show notes?
Yes. I will put it in the show notes. But anyhow, I also want you to tell them about the mini course. I've taken the mini course. It's fabulous.
Which one? The one on my website?
Yeah.
The how to create your money and life goals.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yes. That's on my website. It's on the main page. I've got lots of free content. So if you come in my world, you start to
look around,
access to it. But yes, I have a mini course that I send out to you over a couple of days over email, and I take you through like the steps to create your money and life goals so you can get these beautiful ideas that you've got in your head out into reality. And you can get access to that by going to my website, meaghanjsmith.au, or just go to my Instagram. All roads lead to
the same place.
To Rome.
Yeah. It's so good. No, but I'll make sure I put them in the show notes. So you people that are listening, you can go to the show notes and you'll find everything there. So you don't have to remember everything. But definitely check Meaghan out. She's a genius. She's also my money. She's working on my money mindset with me. And we're definitely doing a lot of progress. So that's good. But let's wrap up, my dear best friend. And I will go and get my kids ready for school. And you will go and get your kids out of school. This is so weird. And we will let everybody listen to this it will come out on the 26th. So we will be past Christmas. So we're wishing everybody a happy new year and a splendid 2023, right?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been absolute pleasure and honor to be allowed to come and on the podcast.
Don't be stupid. I'm going to force you to come and talk to my podcast again about the money mindset, because you're so brilliant. And we can't let that stay just for the English speaking part of the world. So keep your eyes and ears out for the next podcast with the wonderful Meaghan, bestie and life partner.
I paid her to say that, by the way.
No. No, but lots of love, huh? And lots of love to the kids and everything. Love you so much. Love and kisses. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Thanks for listening to the Money Mindful podcast. For future episodes, be sure to subscribe. Ready to take the next steps? Creating your money and life goals can be super challenging if you don't have a process to follow. Get my free course that will help you get unstuck, clarify your goals, and get you going. For more info, go to meaghanjsmith.au.